There's so much going on. I think people usually make these kinds of videos when they've gotten through all the hard things and then they can give their advice to other people, but I feel like because I'm currently experiencing all of that stress and everything, I'm hoping that the advice that I can give you guys is going to be most relevant and also will be a bit of a therapy session for me. So I've made everything nice and comfy. I'm literally sitting in my bed. I don't know if you can see, but my cat is just over there. Where is he? He's just there because Walter is my comfort animal. And I have a smoothie because I was so hungry. It's a chocolate smoothie. And we're just going to sit here and chat. I've got some things, some general advice that I want to share with you guys, but also hopefully I can just give you guys a bit of reassurance that everything is going to be okay and we're going to get through this together. So before we begin, welcome to the Balanced Student Podcast. I'm your host, Aria Emily, and on this podcast we chat about everything related to balance, well-being, and health and happiness as a student, because so many people talk about the academic aspects of school, which I do as well, but not many people talk about the other side of being a student, of maintaining your health and well-being whilst also being ambitious and getting the grades that you want. So if you do enjoy this episode, please give this podcast a review. If you're on Spotify, I think we're up to like 70 something 5-star reviews, so I really want to get that to 100. So if you guys can quickly go onto the Spotify main page of this episode and give it a rating, that would mean the world to me. And also follow this podcast, because then you'll be able to get more updates when I post episodes and you don't miss out. And also if you're on YouTube, can you like this video and subscribe? That would mean the absolute world to me. But yeah, let's get into it. So how to stay sane when there's so much going on? So the first thing that I do whenever there is so much happening in my life, and what I would 100% recommend to you guys to do, is to do a brain dump. I did one just before filming this because, and as you can see, there is quite a lot. This page here is just everything that I've done. If you can't see, if you're listening to the podcast, there is just a whole page of everything. When you do the brain dump, just put on literally every single thing that is on your mind. It does not matter if it's a really big thing or if it's a really small thing, just put on absolutely everything that you can think of. So if you have an exam coming up, put that on. If you need to do the dishes, which I do and I'm stressed about, then put that on. Literally just everything that you can think of, no matter how big or small, put it on the brain dump. Like for me, next week, for example, is going to be really stressful because Wednesday I'm turning 19, which is kind of crazy. Thursday I might need to fly to Sydney, but I don't know. Sometime before that I have a competition for something that I don't even know if I've been selected for. Friday night I have an awards gala. Saturday I'm going to see a concert, and I have an exam also that week as well. And there's just so much going on. Like that's literally just the start of it. And then having all that on top of things, as well as just general life maintenance, like doing the dishes, like looking after yourself, like showering, eating, all of that becomes so much more difficult when you have those things to focus on. Something that's really important to remember is that it is very normal to have periods of your life which are more stressful. It's just a fact of life. I mean, up until now, generally this year has been pretty chill. I mean, launching the business was a bit of a more stressful period, but generally I can manage stress really well. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be times in your life where things do pick up, and that is normal and that is okay. It happens to literally everyone. And so taking a moment to just think about, this is okay. You've gotten through things like this before, and you can do it and you will do it, and we're going to get through it together. That being said, if you are chronically stressed, then that might be something to look at and see if there's some things that you can take off your plate permanently, because it is not good to constantly be worrying about everything. And if that is the case, please speak to someone that you know and trust. And yeah. So when you do your brain dump, getting back on track now, when you do your brain dump, once you put everything there, you should hopefully just start to feel this little mental release of everything, because once it's on paper, you don't have to keep going through those loops in your mind of remembering everything because you've written it down. For example, if you have an exam coming up and you keep thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I need to make a revision schedule, I need to revise, all of that, those loops going around your brain are honestly more stressful than actually revising. So if you can write it down on paper and see it there, you don't have to worry about remembering that anymore because it's out of your brain and it's in the world and it's somewhere you can see it. Even better yet, once you've done your brain dump, if you can allocate any of the task kind of things to your actual to-do list. So for example, if you need to make your revision schedule, I'm using this as an example because it's something that I have to do. Move that from your brain dump and put it onto your weekly tasks so that you know actually when you're going to get it done. You don't have to worry about finding a time to do it because then it's sorted. The funny thing about so many of these things, especially making a brain dump, is that you say to yourself like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to sit down for 10 minutes and write this. But when you do it, you feel so much better. And I'm making a reel about this later this week, but about how it is difficult. A lot of things in life are difficult, but you can do them. Going up on stage and presenting a speech, which I'm going to have to do later this week, is difficult, but I've learned over my life that just because something is difficult doesn't mean you can't do it. So just because you're going through a rough time, that doesn't mean that you can't get through it. You're going to get through it. You're going to come out the other side. And it's just sort of about sometimes accepting that and just taking it day by day. I think that's another thing I put on the list. Just take everything one day at a time, because if I look at the next 2 weeks, which I have been, and it's stressful, I can get so overwhelmed at just the idea of everything that's happening. But if I just go, okay, today's Monday, what do I have to do today? And just worry about that, everything becomes a lot more manageable, because then I can go, okay, when it's tomorrow, I can go, okay, it's Tuesday. What do I need to do today? And take things one day at a time, because one day has so much less in it than 2 weeks. So take everything one day at a time. Just look at what you have to do right now, the next step. And then soon enough, you'll realize, you'll look back in a month's time and be like, oh, it's all over. It's all done. I got through it. And it's actually funny, because sometimes I remember I would make a brain dump and everything would be so stressful at that point in time. And then I'd pick up that same list a week later and be like, Aria, what are you even stressed about? Like, all this is fine. Like, it's so chill. Like, what are you even worried about? And I know for a fact that I'm going to pick up that list in a month's time and be like, oh, it's all done now. I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's all over. So if you're feeling like everything is just so incredibly overwhelming right now, just remember that you have been through things like this before, and you will come out the other side and things will be okay. I cannot stress this enough. Okay, the next main piece of advice I have, which this is going to be a lot easier said than done, but I cannot even tell you guys how much of a difference it makes. When you need space, when you need an escape from the world and from everything that you're stressed about, do not go on your phone. Because I don't know if you guys realize, but when you go on social media or even just check your notifications, because our brains are evolved to detect novelty and detect things that are new, when we refresh notifications or when we go on social media, we're constantly seeing things that are new. And so what that does is it increases dopamine levels a lot higher than they usually would be. And then when we crash back down, it's really stressful for our brains to handle that. I could do a whole video on that specifically, and I talk about it a lot in Academy. But when you go on your phone as an escape from everything that's stressful, it pretty much puts your body into a higher stress state. I don't know what YouTube is going to cancel, so I'm going to hope that you guys imply what I'm talking about here. When people get home from work and then they open a bottle of something to relieve that stress, the actual effect of that thing on your body is a lot more stressful than you actually need to be taking on. So a lot of times doing those things that are stress relievers actually just ends up making you more stressed and builds up that stress even more. So please, wherever possible, try to avoid going on your phone as an escape from everything that's stressful. I mean, as a content creator, it's kind of my job, so I can't really avoid it that much. But what I try to do instead of scrolling on social media for hours, because I know that one, I'm going to end up more stressed, and two, I'm just going to be exhausted, because I know so often I'm like, I'm too tired to do anything, I just want to scroll. And then I'll scroll for a little bit, and then I realize that I am so much more exhausted than I was before I went on my phone. So instead of doing those sort of escapism habits, like going on your phone or playing video games, I don't know, whatever you guys do, find peaceful breaks. So for example, that could be reading a book. That could be going for a walk outside. That could be literally just laying on your bed and staring out the window. You want to find breaks that are less stimulating than whatever is stressful to you. For example, one of my favorite breaks is just cuddling with Walter. He's sitting on my bed here, and I've patted him so many times today because it just brings me so much joy and so much peace. So really just think about the things that you're doing to distract yourself and to take yourself away from that stress. Are they making you more stressed, or are they actually helping to let go of that stress? Okay, this is a really good smoothie. The recipe for this one, if you want, is 1 banana. It is 2 scoops of chocolate protein powder. It is 1 scoop of the Sarah and Martina hydrolyzed collagen powder, peptides, something like that. There's a link in the description if you guys want to have a discount on that. And also some chia seeds and water. And you just put that all in like a Thermomix and mix it around. And I literally drink this every single day. It's so good. Also, sometimes if I'm feeling a bit fancy, I'll put in some super greens powder or like maybe some berries. If it's a hot day, I'll put in frozen berries. But today I'm absolutely freezing, so I'm not going to do that. But it can be really good for summer. Okay, getting back to it. Sometimes, especially as type A people, which I think a lot of my followers are, I am definitely one of those people that always wants to be working always wants to be getting things done and just gets such a hit from being productive. Like, honestly, do not be afraid to say no and ask for help. If you're looking at your to-do list and genuinely feeling so anxious about what you have to do every day, first of all, have a look at your list and see if everything on there you actually have to do, or some of them you're just putting on there as like busy work to make you feel productive. And see if there's anything else that you can sort of handball to someone else. I don't mean just like, burden someone else with your problems, but people around you care. Okay, I can't speak for everyone, but generally people around you care a lot more about you than you think, and they'll be more willing to help you than you think. Just think, if a friend asked you for some help, if they said, hey, I need to drop this at someone's house, I'm actually so under the pump right now, I can't do it, are you able to? You would say yes, because you care about them and you want to help them. Well, I assume you do. If you don't, well, I don't know, you need to be a better friend. But so your friends around you would be more willing than you expect to help you out. I am very lucky in that my family is very proactive in seeing when I need help. For example, if it's exam week, my mum will do the dishes for me. That's usually my job around the house, but I'm really grateful that my parents do that automatically, but I know that if I asked for some help, they would also be willing. I know not everyone is as lucky as I am to be in a situation where my parents care about me and want to support me. However, wherever you can, ask for help. And sort of on the flip side of that, if someone asks you just something, like just say your boss asks you to take on an extra shift, or someone asks you to, I don't know, do whatever, you are allowed to say no as well. I know I used the example back then where your friend would say yes if they need to do something, but equally so, they have the right to say no if they are also stressed, because you are only human, you can only take on so much at once. So there is no shame in saying, hey, I actually can't do this right now. Maybe next week I'll be able to, or maybe can you ask so-and-so to do it instead, but you need to protect your peace. A lot of us fall into the trap of being people pleasers and trying to say yes to absolutely everything and help absolutely everyone, and I can definitely say that I'm in that boat as well. I think being a content creator and having hundreds of DMs each week and feeling that need to reply to absolutely every single one of them, and generally I still do, I feel so much obligation that I need to reply to everyone that asks for my help. And when people say, how do I stop procrastinating? I feel like I need to give them a full essay response that will help them, or I need to, navigate them to this podcast to find the episode. It's down there, guys, if you're procrastinating. There is an episode on this. And so I still struggle with that and feeling that if someone needs my help, I need to provide it to them. I feel like this is getting so contradictory. I'm so sorry if this is getting confusing and making no sense, because I'm just trying to work it out myself, because I want to help people as much as I can, but also I'm learning that I am still human and I have limits. I did actually at some point try to employ like an automated DM responder, but then I felt so weird. I felt so inhuman, and I felt that people would DM me and then be like, oh my god, why isn't there is like automation responding to me? And I felt like that was really uncomfortable. So I stopped doing that. But I might need to do something along those lines later, because I really genuinely do want to help everyone that tries to contact me. But just like you, I am only human and I only have so many hours in a day. Sort of on that topic of not being afraid to say no, don't be afraid to sacrifice some things in your life. Now, there is a limit to this. Do not ever sacrifice your health. We're going to talk about this later, but do not sacrifice your health ever. Do not sacrifice your sleep. Do not sacrifice your nutrition. Do not sacrifice exercise. If you lose your health, you have nothing. You could lose your job and you'd be okay. I mean, it would suck, but you could lose your job and you'd be okay. You could lose your partner, and again, it would suck, but the rest of your life can still hold up. If you lose your health, you have nothing. You have no job because you're too sick to work. You have no partner because you're too sick to see them. If you lose your health, you lose everything. So no matter how stressful things are, you need to still look after your health. I am stressed. I still made myself that smoothie that keeps me healthy, and I'm still going to make myself a healthy lunch. I still had breakfast. I still went to the gym this morning, and I'm still going to try to get a good sleep tonight. So we're going to talk about this more later, but prioritize your health. However, there are other things in your life that when things get stressful, it is okay to sacrifice them. For example, if you generally keep your room really nice and tidy, and this is something that you really pride yourself in, maybe for this week or this month or whatever it is that's stressful, maybe you aren't able to do that. And I actually do find, though, that when my room is clean, my brain is more clean and clear and I can think better. However, I know that it's not the end of the world if my room isn't clean. I mean, there's a book open over there. I mean, my room is generally really clean. It's literally not even that bad. However, there's things like that, like just kind of succumbing to having a messy room or other things, in life. It's okay to sacrifice them for a short period of time in order to just get through. Obviously, you don't want to be doing that for a long period of time. I mean, if you're sacrificing showering every day for 2 months, that's a problem. And that is a problem. But if it's just little things here and there that you only need to get through this exam week or whatever it is okay to leave them. Just for the time being. You can get back to them. Because at the moment, your priority is getting through and getting on top of whatever those really big tasks are. Like, for example, next week I have to present a pitch in front of a bunch of judges. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but that is my priority. Whereas watering the plants in my room, I mean, my plants, they'll survive. They'll last a few days without water. It's not the end of the world. So what you need to focus on right now is taking care of yourself, getting through, and just whatever the highest priority things are, okay? And anything that doesn't fall in that category, it is okay if you need to put it on hold. It is okay. I will completely acknowledge that everyone listening to this is definitely in a completely different life situation. I mean, if you are a single mother of 6 kids, you are most likely to be a lot more stressed than I am, and you have a lot more on your plate, and there is a lot more high priority things that you need to be looking at. So I definitely am saying from a very privileged perspective all of these things, but I do just want to still say that if you do try to do these things as much as you possibly can, you will be in a better situation than if you don't. Obviously, we will have limited capacity to do these things, you know, the things that you can handball to someone else. I mean, obviously, you have to pay your bills. If you're living by yourself, you can't really procrastinate about that. Because no matter how stressful the situation is, you will be able to handle it better if you have 8 hours of sleep and you're well rested than if you have been sleeping 2 hours every night. That is just a fact. I can't remember what else I had to say about prioritizing health. I feel like I had a whole spiel about it, but now I've forgotten. Oh well. And also, just a quick side note, if you are struggling with a lot of schoolwork and this is something that you've been struggling with for a really long time and you want to get really good grades, but there is a lot of work and the workload is really piling up, then I would highly encourage that you check out the link to Academy in the description. I'm not going to talk about it too much here, but if that is a situation you're in, I would recommend checking it out because I built it specifically for you to save time, still get good grades, still enjoy your life without burning out. This last point sort of ties back to that second point I made about not going on your phone, but at absolutely any spare moment that you have during this period of time, if you have a spare moment, just sit. Just sit and do absolutely nothing. That is what I've been doing in between these sentences when I can't think of what to say. I've literally just been sitting here, looking at my cat, looking at the view outside my window, and just sitting. I've edited it all out, guys, but I've just been sitting here, just soaking up the peace and quiet and grounding myself in this moment. Because a lot of times when we're stressed about things and we're worried about things, we get so in our heads and we get so just like on loops and cycles of things that we're thinking about. But if you take a moment to just zoom out, put yourself in this current moment, feel your feet on the floor, feel the air touching your skin. It's really cold. That's why I can hear the noises around you. I remember this psychologist, she told me something once where I would get really, really in my head. Like everything I was experiencing was in my head. I was hardly even in the world. And I remember she said to me, listen to what is around you. And immediately, I remember I went home. I went for a little walk and I went to the park and I sat there and I just listened to the world. And it was as if someone had just gone and they had just quietened my brain. Like everything just went quiet. Like it is so, so peaceful. I'm really lucky to live in a place where we have trees everywhere. I'm not in a busy city. I mean, we have a city, but it's really small. We're one of the Australian cities where no one ever goes to. But the world is so quiet. The world is so much quieter than the noise in your head. And everything that you're worried about, everything that you're stressed about, most of it exists in your head. So if you can, even if you can't, even if you don't have a park nearby you, go somewhere outside, stand in nature, and just be, just exist, just sit there. Just listen to the birds, listen to the trees, feel the wind on you. All of that, just experience it, because being in the present is the most calming thing you can do. Everything you're worried about is happening in the future. Everything that you're reminiscing about is in the past. All that you have is right now. All that you have is the present. And being in the present will automatically reduce everything that you're worried about. And being in the present will automatically reduce how big and scary everything that you're worrying about feels. So if I have one final word before I finish this episode, it would be to go outside somewhere and just be, just exist. Okay, that is, I believe, all I have to say. I really hope that this video was helpful, and if it wasn't helpful, I hope it was at least cozy and comforting, and I hope that it could give you a little bit of reassurance that everything is going to be okay. You are a strong person. You're going to get through this. You've gotten through things like this before, and we're going to do it together. We're going to get through these next few weeks. We're going to do it. We're going to get out the other side, and everything's going to be okay. All right. If you found this video helpful, then please give it a like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and if you're on Spotify, again, if you give us a rating, we really want to get to 100 ratings. That would be really cool. And also follow this podcast so you don't miss another episode, and you can become the balanced student that you want to be. Alright, that is all. I hope you guys have the most amazing day, and I'm sending a hug from here in my bedroom in Australia. I'm sending a hug to wherever you are because you deserve it and you're gonna get through this. Bye bye, guys.